Alright, Capricho Arabe, the introduction to the piece. The piece opens with the sound of some harmonics. These are natural harmonics played on the 7th fret, and we're going to pluck 3 strings, the bass strings of the guitar, D, A, D. And by the way, if you have not yet figured this out, the tuning of the guitar includes a dropped D tuning, which means that the 6th string is tuned down to a D note. So here we go, the harmonics on the 7th fret of the guitar. What you do for the left hand, you'd lay the first finger horizontally right on the 7th fret, barely touching the strings. You would not press the strings, but barely touch them. And you could either use P-I-M on the right hand to pluck the strings, or you could use the thumb to strum, to pluck the 3 strings at the same time. Again, P-I-M, or the thumb. I personally like using the thumb, and I know it's a little bit more risky because there is a danger of plucking other strings in the process, but I'm using my index finger to mute the G string just in case my thumb gets overly zealous and plucks that G string as well. It's a little bit more risky, but I think it gives the piece a little bit more power and just a little bit more oomph in the beginning. So here we go, the harmonics. And while these harmonics ring out, we're going to do this downward run. And we're going to begin with a G note played all the way up the neck. So if you count from the E, which is on the 12th fret, F is on the 13th, F sharp, 14th fret, and G on the 15th fret. So we're going to pluck the G note with the index finger, and we're going to play the one with the 4th finger. So G note played with the 4th finger, 1st string, the 15th fret. And I like to do a rest stroke just to add some beautiful tonal quality to this string. From this, we're going to go to an E note, which is found on the 12th fret. We're going to play this one on the 1st string with the 1st finger. So E, play with the 1st finger, 12th fret of the 1st string. So G, and I'm going to do a pull off, which means I'm not going to pluck this E note with the index finger, but simply use my forefinger to pull down the string. So the plucking is done by the forefinger itself. Okay, let's practice just this beginning part, harmonics. From here, we're going to go to a D note, and we're going to play the D note with the 2nd finger on the 1st string, 10th fret. So D and C sharp. C sharp is played with the 1st finger on the 1st string, 9th fret. And it's again pull off. So from G, D, E, D followed by a C sharp. And from here we're going to go to an E note, which is played with the 3rd finger on the 12th fret of the 1st string. And we're going to pull off to a D note, played with the 1st finger on the 1st string, 10th fret. Now, as you do these pull-offs, make sure that your motion is not exaggerated. You should not pull pull off and then have this really exaggerated motion outward, but instead keep your motion minimal. It will allow your playing to be more precise and also more pleasant to listen to. Again, G to E, D to C sharp, E to D. And from here we're going to slide on the same string. We're going to play a B flat. This note is played with the second finger, first string, 6th fret. And we're going to pull off to an A, played with the first finger on the first string, 5th fret. Okay, so let's take the context. G to E, D to C sharp, E to D, B flat to A, C to B flat. Now this C note is played with the 4th finger on the first string, 8th fret. And we're going to pull off to a B flat played with the second finger on the first string, 6th fret. All those notes are on the first string. So let's review the run on the first string. And now we're going to move to the second string and we're going to play a G note with the 4th finger on the second string, 8th fret. And a pull off to an E note. And this E note is played with the first finger on the second string, 5th fret. And then we're going to follow after this E note played on the second string with an open E. Again, let's review this entire run. Just a word of caution, do not get too impatient with this run. It does not necessarily need to be fast, and I think you should give plenty of room to these harmonics to ring out. While you play this run, allow the harmonics to ring out and fill the guitar with overtones. I think that's what adds to the beauty of this phrase. So it should sound something like this. Or when I say it should sound, this is how I prefer to play the piece, but of course there is a lot of latitude in the way you want to interpret the music, and so be your own artist. Do not simply be a copycat. You could use some of the interpretive choices that I make as a tool in your toolbox, but then really make the piece your own. Alright, let's move forward. So after we play the high open E string, so G, E, and open string, we're going to follow that with a G minor chord. The first finger will be a partial bar chord, and the third finger will press on a G note. The third finger is going to play this G note on the 4th string, 5th fret. Play with the thumb for the right hand. The first finger will also press on B flat and D at the same time. B flat is found on the 3rd string on the 3rd fret, and D on the 2nd string, 3rd fret. We're going to use P-I-M for the right hand. So, or blocked. Perhaps in the very beginning, just played blocked. Followed by an E note played with the 4th finger on the 2nd string, 5th fret. So, and then we're going to play an A chord. It's a fairly easy chord to play. We're going to lay our first finger flat as a partial bar chord, pressing 4 out of the 6 strings. And we're going to pluck the open A bass note, A, E note, A, and C sharp. Now 4, 3rd and 2nd string pressed on the 2nd fret with the first finger. Again. Okay, so that's the beginning introduction. That phrase repeats again almost identically. Let me show you what I mean. So the first time, the second time through has the different fingering here. And notice that the second time I'm playing this, I'm leaning on the notes just a little bit more. A good rule of thumb is that when you play a phrase that's nearly identical in its formation of the notes and melody line, it is a good idea to play it slightly different just to avoid boredom for you as a performer and for the audience as listeners. We're going to start again with G, pulling off to an E note, then D to C sharp, E to D, B flat to A, C to B flat, G to E, and rather than playing an open E string, we're going to play that E string on the same second string now, with the first finger on the 5th fret. So, and if you know how to do a vibrato, vibrated note, just to add more emphasis and a little bit more more force as the note carries to fill the room with sound. So, the first time, open high E string. The second time, through the phrase. And rather than playing just a low G note on the D string, I like to double the bass here, just to create some variety. And this is a G minor chord. We're going to play a G note in the bass with a thumb on the right hand, doubled by a G note on the 4th string. So the G note on the bass is played with the 2nd finger, 6th string, 5th fret. The G on the 4th string is played on the 5th fret as well with the 3rd finger, and then we're going to make again a partial bar, putting the 1st finger horizontally across the 3rd and 2nd string on the 3rd fret. So we're going to use P, I, M, A. And again, we're going to play an E note on the 2nd string. We're going to play this E note with the 4th finger, 2nd string, 5th fret. Vibrato and then a slide and notice how I'm playing the second time this A chord. Rather than using a partial bar chord, I'm playing it with 2, 3, and 4. The 2nd finger presses on an E note on the 4th string, 2nd fret. The 3rd finger presses on an A note, which is found on the 3rd string, 2nd fret, and the 4th finger presses on a C sharp note found on the 2nd string, 2nd fret. The reason I'm playing it like that is to create some continuity between this last E note there is a slide there, and I think it really adds to just the romance of this piece, and it creates again some performance variety. Alright, that was the introduction. Now the next section has this beautiful cello-like ascending line, and it goes like this. It begins with an open A 5th string, and I'm playing that with a thumb as a rest stroke, followed by a C sharp note on the same string, played with the 3rd finger on the 4th fret. Then I'm going to play an E note with the 1st finger, 4th string, 2nd fret, followed by a G note played with the 4th finger on the 4th string, 5th fret. Again, so that initial arpeggio goes like this: A, C sharp, E, G, and I'm going to slide now with the 4th finger to a B flat. Again. The B flat is played with the 4th finger on the 4th string, 8th fret. Again, let's practice that slowly. And now I'm going to play an A note with the 3rd finger, 4th string, 7th fret. So take this finger and slide it all the way up to the 14th fret to hit an E note on the same string. So again, so from A, and I realize that you're hearing some string squeaks, and we're going to try to avoid that. However, in the interest of music and in the interest of making that glissando be almost like a cello, I think it's okay to put up with a certain amount of squeakiness on the strings. There are some tricks that you could do. You could take some sandpaper and kind of polish and file down a little bit of the string without obviously harming the fretboard of the guitar. And also you could use the side of your finger to do the slide. So rather than keeping the finger straight, you could lean it a little bit towards the left side and use the soft portion of your finger to slide down the string. And that minimizes that squeaky sound of the string. After, imagine here that you're a cellist, and so you are vibrating this note and allow the guitar to fill with overtones. Again, let's practice this arpeggio. And now we're going to do a run. It's a downward run that begins with a D note played with the second finger, 4th strings, 12th fret. So D followed by a C sharp played on the same string, 11th fret with the first finger, D followed by an E note played with the 4th finger on the 4th string, 14th fret. Again, back to D and back to C sharp. So from this high E note, D, and I'm playing that with an M finger for the right hand rest strokes, followed by a C sharp with the I finger, D again with the M, E with I, D again with M, C sharp with I, and now we're going to slide back on the same string in the 7th position, which means that the first finger hovers over the 7th fret. We're going to play a B flat note with the second finger, 4th string, 8th fret, followed by an A. The A is played with the first finger, 4th string, 7th fret, and then a C note played with the 4th finger on the 4th string, 10th fret. Again, B flat played with the second finger, and A played with the first finger. So let's practice just this much. Okay, let's try that again. G note with the 4th finger on the 5th string, 10th fret, followed by an F note played with the second finger on the same string, this time on the 8th fret, followed by an E note played with the first finger on the same string, 7th fret. So an open D string, 4th string, with M, followed by a C sharp in the first position, play with the 4th finger on the 5th string, 4th fret, followed by a B flat, play with the first finger on the 5th string, 1st fret, open A, followed by G, play with the 4th finger on the 6th string, 5th fret, F note played with the second finger on the 6th string 3rd fret. Then E played with the first finger on the 6th string 2nd fret. And a slide to a B flat note, which is played with the second finger 6th string 8th fret. And then A played on the same string with the first finger on the 7th fret. Okay, so let's review this run. It may be helpful to break it up into sections. So, from the high E, and it's really helpful to alternate on the right hand constantly. Then A, and we're going to begin the piece per se. We're going to start this in our next section.